So, I've talked about the benefits of coaching before and how much I think it's needed for our weight loss journeys. And in this episode, I'm having a conversation with a life coach that I know is really going to be helpful for you. All right, let's go. Welcome to the Overweighted Podcast, where we get real about the struggles of being obese and needing to lose a whole lot of weight. My name's Malaika. I'm your host, weight loss mentor and coach. Join me on my personal weight loss journey to lose about 200 pounds, and as I share my very real experiences, plus some simple, successful, and sustainable weight loss tips and mindset shifts so that we can mark lose weight off of our to-do list for good. So I am so excited today that I get to have an interview with someone who I think is going to be really helpful for you on your weight loss journey. And I had the pleasure of meeting her in one of the coaching programs that I'm in right now. And she just has a really sweet spirit. So I was just really drawn to her. And I was like, I got to get to know her and see more about her and what she does. And luckily, it was really a God move. I guess we got put together in a breakout room just randomly. So I got to get to know her a little bit more. And once I found out what she did, I knew, like, yes, this is something that I know the listeners of the Overweighted podcast could benefit from. So I'm so excited to have Emily Kurtovic with us today. Hey, Emily, how you doing?
Hey, Malaika. Thanks for having me. I'm doing good. And you nailed my last name.
Yes, when your name is Malaika, you try to make sure you're pronouncing everyone else's name correctly because it's rare they get mine correct.
Yeah.
So, Emily, tell us a little bit about, who you are, what you do, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So my name is Emily Kurtovic. I live in Oklahoma. I'm a mom, a wife. I'm a nurse and a Christian life coach.
Awesome. And how long have you been life coaching? Is it something new? Is it something you've been doing for a while? Like, how long have you been doing that?
Yeah, so this is kind of a newer business venture for me. I have dabbled in it for probably about 6 years. I kind of stumbled across life coaching when I was in network marketing. So I got into network marketing and quickly found that, after you kind of burn through your immediate friends and family, you need a little help with marketing and things to kind of get a further reach. And so I initially hired what I thought was a business coach to help me with marketing strategies and how to figure out how to sell. But what I quickly found was we all need some strategies, but the big thing wasn't business and marketing strategies. What I needed was mindset work. Lot of limiting beliefs around money and self-worth and value and things that you wouldn't think have anything to do with selling or marketing, but it was everything to do with it. And so I kind of accidentally stumbled into my own journey with life coaching, and it was so life-changing for me that I knew pretty early on that I want to do this. I just had a burning desire to help other women overcome so many things that hold us back that we don't even realize. We don't see the chains that are holding us back until somebody else can kind of help us through that.
Wow, that's so good. That's so good. And, it's so right. And that even with weight loss journeys, that's a lot of the things we try to jump into strategies. We think it's another strategy that we need. And then we find out like, wait a minute, there's some, like you said, limiting beliefs going on. There's some mindset things we need to work through. And that's really what we need to be successful in our weight loss journeys. It's not necessarily another strategy. Obviously, like you said, yes, we need strategies. We need to know, what to eat, how to move our bodies and things like that. But there's so much beneath the surface that needs to happen in order for us, like for the women that I serve that typically have over 50 pounds to lose. They've been struggling to lose weight for years. And so if you've been having trouble over and over again losing, it's probably not the strategy that's the issue. It's something else going on. So I'm so glad you brought that up. And yeah, with me, I started out in network marketing as well, and teaching and kind of helping the team was my favorite part of that. And so coaching was a natural shift for me as well when I got into this coaching space. And same with you, I would go in looking for strategy to help with business, find out, wait, there's something else going on. And so, and that's really having that was really what helped me to be able to move forward in business. So, and we kind of just mentioned this, like, what are some of the other benefits do you feel of like coaching and why someone might want to get coached?
Yeah, I think life coaching is such a unique thing. It's a really special partnership because, we have friends that we can ask advice, and we've got therapists, and those are great things that I think we all need. But with coaching, it is so forward focused, which, um, just a little background, I had been in and out of therapy for 30 years, really, when I came across coaching. And it was just such a different perspective on how to overcome things that have happened in the past that are still holding us back that we may not even realize. Um, so I heard this analogy before and I just thought it was so cool, such a like visual picture of what coaching does. So imagine you are standing outside of this room looking in through a window, and you have been looking through this window for the past 20, 30 years. You know it inside out. You know that there is a picture on the wall there of a mason jar, and you can see a lamp in the corner, and you know exactly what this lampshade looks like. You know the tone of the light coming out of it. You can see the couch there. You can see the exact color of the wood flooring, and you've just been looking at this, and you know it inside out. And then imagine somebody comes beside you and takes your hand and walks you around to another side of this room, and you look through a new window. And all of a sudden, you see a rug on the floor that you've never seen before. And you see this table in the corner and all of these details that you never really got to see because it is a paradigm shift. It's a perspective shift. So it's an unbiased person that is able to step in, hold your story with you, and kind of look at it from an angle that you've maybe never seen before. And, we have blind spots to the things that are holding us back. And we get stuck in our stories where we're doing the same thing over and over, wondering why it doesn't work. Or maybe we're trying a different spin, but we're still looking at this room from the same view. And so I just think it's a really unique partnership to be able to have that unbiased person that they don't have all the answers, but they can help you to see your story in a different view and to see your struggles from a different side and to kind of talk you through how to overcome those things.
Wow, that's so good. I love that analogy and that picture with the rooms and looking through the window and getting that perspective shift. Because yes, that's exactly what it is. Like, one of the things I say is we can't see the forest for the trees because we're so in
Mm-hmm.
it, we don't realize, like you said, there's other perspectives to look at it from. There's a bigger picture going on and other things going on. But just like we were just mentioning too with the strategies, we're thinking we need strategy, but really
Mm-hmm.
there's something else going on. Well, let's look at this over here because this may be what's blocking what you're doing right now is in business, which is what it was for us. But for the people that are listening, for them, it would be for their weight loss journey. So I love that analogy of having that perspective shift, and it's a partnership. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, as a coach, we don't have all the answers. I find sometimes in coaching, someone will come, and they're kind of looking for me to solve their problems, but really the answer is within them. It's just
Mm-hmm.
asking them the right questions. Like you said, it's their story. So just pulling that out of them and then seeing like, hey, where do we maybe need to look at this from a different angle? Maybe there's some thoughts, some beliefs that need to be shifted that you've been holding on to for a long time. That's really going to help them to have that breakthrough to get through to
Mm-hmm.
the other side. So great example. I love that. I know one of the things that you work with people in life coaching is looking at some of the things that may have come up from childhood.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's childhood trauma going on, or they may not even see it as trauma. It may just be the way they grew up.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have these beliefs that they formed through childhood, maybe a certain way of thinking and, things that they're thinking. How might that show up in their adult lives to where it's affecting things that they want to do and accomplish in their adult life?
Yeah, I mean, we all have trauma, right? We live in a fallen and broken world, and we all have things happen to us. But some people have more of a prolonged exposure to certain traumas. And like you said, they may not even realize they were traumas. It may be, a parent that was dismissive of their feelings to a point where they felt like their feelings weren't valid or valuable. And so they learned to stuff and suppress those feelings. And I think especially when it happens in childhood at an early age and in the home, where, that is where you should feel safe to flourish and explore and make mistakes. And so many of us did not have that opportunity to safely explore life. And it has an impact on your brain development when this is occurring at such a young age. And especially to go back to the image of looking at a room, when we form beliefs in childhood, like we have no life experience to hold those beliefs up to and really ask, like, is this true or not? And I don't know how difficult some people this will be to believe, but not everything that you believe is based in truth. It's based in your experience and your perspective at that time. And think about the perspective of a child. And again, they don't have that life experience or that biblical knowledge or that deeply rooted connection to Jesus to know the actual truth. And so that can show up in a lot of different ways that you may not realize are trauma based. There's negative things like depression and anxiety that I think is easily attributed to traumatic things that have happened, but also things like people pleasing, searching for your value in other people and doing anything to get them because it's not safe to not be accepted. I took a few notes here just because my ADD people will get anyways. Over explaining, just simple questions. Sometimes you may feel like you need to over explain because it's important for your safety to be right and to not be wrong. For me, the thing that was really shocking was anger and irritability. I was irritable all the time, and it would be one of those things like I tried so hard all day long at work to make sure everyone was pleased with me, to make sure that I did everything perfectly, to do anything to avoid criticism. And that takes so much energy that when I came home, like I felt annoyed by my children. I felt very defensive and short-tempered with my husband. And to be honest, I got to a point where I thought, I just have a bad personality. Like, I'm just a bad person. And that is not truth at all. And it wasn't until I had some deep therapy and realized some of the roots of that were in trauma. And I had so many beliefs that were not true. They were true to me based on my experience. And when you believe something to be true, you're going to constantly be collecting data and information to support that. And it just more deeply roots those beliefs. And so being able to find those roots, replace them with truth, that renewing of your mind transforms your life, is just a game changer. And I think the biggest mindset shift a person can make is realizing that you can change your mind. You can change what you believe, which will change your thoughts, which will change how you live your life and completely transform your life.
Wow. That's so good. That's so huge. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, especially like I was saying with the women in particular that I'm called to serve and to work with that have a lot of weight to lose, generally over 50 pounds or so. A lot of that is rooted from how they grew up, things that they're believing, like you said, always trying to people please. There obviously may be some depression and things there, but even something so simple, like you said, over explaining yourself, because then you a lot of times we do that because we don't want to feel rejected by the person, and so when we do, then that can show up in ways of like us eating and overeating because we're stuffing our feelings and we don't like the way that we're feeling, and not realizing that some of that may have to do with our environment growing up and the beliefs that we're holding on to. And I love that you brought out the fact that we can change that. We work on our mindset. We can have mindset shifts that as we're working on changing our thoughts, will then change those deep-rooted beliefs that we have. And I want to say too that I think a lot of us hold on to beliefs because, it's what our parents taught us, and we may not want to let them go, depending on that relationship with our parents,
Hmm.
especially if it was a good one, because, like, well, how could they be wrong,
Yeah.
And as a parent, I know I'm wrong a lot, so you know, and
That's the
so.
thing too. There's a level of guilt, especially if you did have a decent childhood. Your parents were sinners. It's okay to admit that they made mistakes and they
Yes.
maybe steered you wrong in some areas. That doesn't make them bad parents,
Yes.
doesn't make them abusive parents.
Yes.
They're sinners who did their best,
Yes.
in most cases,
Uh,
Same. I make mistakes all the time, and I have to remind myself that my children don't need a perfect parent. They need Jesus. They need a parent
yes.
that can say, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. Um, and, you know,
Yes,
yeah.
that is so good. Yes, absolutely. It doesn't mean necessarily, I mean, depending on your childhood and your parents,
Mhm.
yeah, it doesn't mean they were bad parents or anything like that. We are just doing the best we can with the way we grew up and our beliefs and
Mhm.
things. So, right, they don't need perfect parent. Our kids don't need perfect parents. We didn't have perfect parents. We need a perfect Jesus, just like you said.
Yeah.
So that is so good and so important. And so I love that we can make those shifts so that we're able to move past the trauma. And like you said, with coaching, we're future focused. So helping you get towards those things that you are wanting to move towards. In my case, it would be weight loss. It could be goals, that you may have, whether it's in business or life in general, or it could be even goals that you're having in motherhood that you're trying to move forward towards. So by doing that mindset work, making those shifts, working on those beliefs, you'll be able to do that, and you'll show up more as that person that God created you to be in the first place when you're doing that. So yes, thank you for that. That was a great advice to make those mindset shifts. So, what's one tool that we could use maybe to work through if we're having moments of anxiety or maybe feelings of worthlessness? If
Mhm.
we are maybe going through those moments where we are kind of stuck in our stories and we need to move out of it. So, what is there a tool that we could use? Just maybe one, because I'm sure you have a lot of them in your
Mhm.
toolbox. So, what's one tool that we might be able to use to be able to move forward?
Yeah, especially when you mention anxiety,
Yeah.
that is something that can just be debilitating. And
Mm.
there's different levels of anxiety, but especially if you're not real self-aware about it, it can quickly mount into something that mounts all the way into a panic attack. So one of my favorite tools is just a grounding tool that you can use when anxiety is mounting into actual fight or flight.
Mm.
The frontal cortex of your brain starts to shut down. That's the decision making, that's the rational. And that's when your thoughts really just start to spiral into something that maybe don't even make sense, um, but it's just overwhelming. And so anything that you can do to pull yourself out of that fight or flight, ground yourself in the moment, it can kind of stop it from mounting and get you to a place where you can rationally think again. And so one of the tools that you can use literally anywhere is just a breathing technique. The exact numbers aren't important, but I do 557. You take a breath in and count to five, hold it for five, and then breathe out for seven. You can literally change the physiological response in your body within 30 seconds by doing this. You can lower your heart rate, you'll lower your blood pressure, slow your thinking, and just be able to recenter and pull yourself out of that fight or flight mode. And so I do maybe 2 or 3 rounds of that. And then I have an anchor thought that I can focus on. So while you're breathing, it's really important to focus on the numbers because that's going to stop that rapid fire thoughts and the brain firing, and just center you. And I do thoughts like, and maybe something simple as, I'm safe. Right now in this moment, I'm safe. Because what happens is our bodies were designed to kick into fight or flight to save us from being chased by a bear or, something crazy like that. But you're standing in your kitchen in a robe in front of the coffee pot and your body's going like, there's a bear after me. But it's really our thoughts out of control. So when you can center that again and say something like, I'm safe, or a specific verse. I love the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. Just repeating that. It's something to focus on. It's truth based. And then once you have calmed yourself, you can say, okay, like what is one step I need to do right now? And get really simple, because I think that's what anxiety is when we overload ourselves, we're overwhelmed. We have all these internal pressures of, I need to be perfect, I have to make everyone happy. Those are not truth. And we have to sometimes just stop and center and say, like, what is truth? One simple anchor thought with that slowed breathing to calm yourself, and it will do wonders. You can do this in the car. You can do it standing in your kitchen. If you're at work, you don't have to make a big scene. You can sit there in your chair and you don't even have to close your eyes, but like just do your breathing, and in your head, you can say them in your head. And it has saved me from so many just panic situations.
Wow, that's a great tool. That's great advice. And like you said, you can literally do that anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
just to calm yourself down and get recentered. And I love the idea too of, reciting the Bible verse if you're a woman of faith, and so that way you have that to back up what you're doing and to help you to calm down and keep your mind on Jesus, and get your
Mm-hmm.
peace from Him. And for someone who is struggling with losing weight, then
Mm-hmm.
that's going to potentially stop them from overeating or binging, or having something that they don't want to have, whether it's turning to sweets or whatever, and giving them that moment to calm down, have some peace. And if you're using the scripture, then turn to the Lord, who we should also be giving our feelings and emotions to,
Mm-hmm.
and turning to Him instead of the food. So that is a wonderful tool. Thank you for sharing that
Yeah.
with us. So, as we're wrapping up here, so if you're thinking about the woman that's listening to this podcast, and there are some men as well, but someone who is struggling to lose weight, they may have some, issues going on with childhood trauma that they are working through, or that they may not even be aware of, but they just know that they are trying to lose weight. They keep getting stuck. They're not sticking to the diets, not being able to figure out why and what's going on with that, why they aren't having enough willpower or motivation or discipline. That's what they're thinking, really. The thing is, what would you say to that person to help them, I guess, have some awareness and maybe be able to move forward on their weight loss journeys?
Yeah. The awareness piece I think is so hard, especially just this culture. We're so busy all the time. One thing you can do is to kind of do a thought journal, just as a practice to help you be a little bit more aware of the thoughts that you're thinking. And it's really important, if you do something like that, to do it out of a heart of curiosity, and don't let yourself shame and belittle and like, oh, well, you're such an idiot. No wonder you can't lose weight when this is how you talk to yourself. And it's like, well, listen to how you talk to yourself. We all do this, and it's something that you have to kind of be aware of and catch yourself. The other thing is, like, God designed us to be in community. I think another trauma response is hyper independence. Like, I can do this. This belief that you can't count on other people. And maybe it's true that other people have let you down. Maybe it's true that the people who were supposed to protect you the most failed. And it's created this paradigm that, like, well, I can't trust anybody. I've got to do it myself. That may have been true at one point in your life, but today as an adult, you get to have boundaries with safe people, and you get to believe that God put people on this earth to support you and that you can trust. And so maybe that's women at church, or friendships that you can make. Of course, I would recommend a life coach, just anyone that can hold your story with you and be there with you. God created us for community. And I think it's really important to not um, just try to do everything in your own strength. You shouldn't try to do anything in your own strength, but practice relying on other people, practice allowing other people to be there for you and to try to connect with you. It takes time. You're not going to change overnight. And I love this idea of just 1% better every day. Sometimes we have this very all or nothing thinking, like the start on Monday syndrome. And every Monday it's, well, maybe next week. Like, we don't have to wait for Monday. We can make mistakes and get 1% better every day. And those little changes add up over time. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you give yourself permission that you are worthy of taking the time to do this.
Yes, so good, so good. Thank you so much for being on here, Emily. I learned a lot. I got my toes stepped on a little bit, but in a good way, so that I am aware and can move forward in my weight loss journey. And yes, I know this will be really impactful for some of the listeners that are, like I said, stuck and just not sure why they aren't moving forward. And so knowing that, journaling, and then, like you said, having that accountability and community and is really going to be helpful for them moving forward. And I know Emily is on Instagram. She has some great material on there. There's more tools to help you to be able to work through some of the things that you may be dealing with on your journey. But Emily, tell us, where can they find you, and also how can they work with you? I know you have the Freedom Framework program as well, so you can tell us a little bit more about that too. But yeah, let us know how we can work with you and where we can find you.
Yeah, thank you for that opportunity to share. I'm on Instagram. It's just my name, Emily Kurtovic, Kurtovic. I'm also on Facebook. I do most of my stuff on Instagram, though. If you wanted to reach out via email, it's just emilykcoaching@gmail.com. So when I launched this coaching business several months ago, I really wanted to create a program that was focused on helping women find freedom in their life. So it's basically what I have walked through the past 4 years of really solidifying my identity in Christ, really shifting my mindset. I kind of reverse engineered it to get people more impact faster, because I felt like I stumbled through it alone. I tried to do everything alone. And like I said, we really need community. So it's an 8-week one-on-one coaching program, just to help kind of walk you through that, to help you identify those limiting beliefs that are not rooted in truth. So something to kind of clarify, what does freedom look like for you, and how can we get you there? How can we make your thoughts obedient to Christ and renew your mind, transform them to transform your life? So I hope it's really helpful to get women walking in the freedom and fullness that God has for them.
I love it. I love it. And I love that. And all of the links will be in the show notes so that you can find her and work with her and get more information about the Freedom Framework. So again, thank you so much, Emily, for being on. I appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time out to just pour into us and just give us, more information on the things that may be going on underneath the surface with our weight loss journeys, and how to be more aware of those things and how to take a few steps forward to get out of it so that we can lose the weight that we want to lose and step into being that person that God has created us to be. So thank you so much. It has been a pleasure, and I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you, Malaika. It was great talking with you.
All right. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you got any value out of this or something really resonated with you, can you do me a favor and leave a review? It helps others find the show so that it could help them too. Also, I'd love to connect with you on other platforms. I'm Malaika Burley on IG and YouTube. And go grab my free workshop at malaikaburley.com. Of course, all of those links are in the show notes. Thanks again, and have a blessed day.